On this episode of Ask an Artist, I'm joined by Clinton Jones. Clint is a really talented VFX artist and filmmaker, and you may have seen his work in Cardboard Warfare, maybe some of the video game cinematics he's directed, or you may also recognize him from Corridor Digital. In this conversation, we'll discuss the topic of how to maintain artist integrity and what exactly that means for artists inside of any field. All right, let's jump right in. Hey everybody, Luke Thompson from ActionVFX here. Another episode of the Ask an Artist podcast. Today I've got Clinton Jones with us. Clinton, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really looking forward to kind of jumping in about really just digging into your backstory a little bit. Obviously, you we're with Corridor Digital for a little bit, but you're doing a lot of new and exciting things, specifically with like all different types of 3D rendering and photogrammetry and lots of different exciting things. So I'm excited to jump into that conversation.
Me too, man. How are you doing today? What's going on with you?
I'm good, man. It's nothing super crazy, right? So it's been the month of January was kind of like full blast, and I feel like things are kind of, they're not settling, but I'm getting used to the pace. And so that's been nice. We're bringing on a lot of new people and growing our team quite a bit. And we also just purchased a studio not long ago. And so,
congrats, that's huge, man.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been very exciting. So we're in the process of trying to get all of that built out and traveling around, visiting some other studios, seeing what works best. And our needs are really specific too, because not everyone blows things up all the time regularly. And so it turns out you need...
Yeah, your ventilation's got to be like pretty nice.
Yeah. So it turns out you need a pretty specific space to do that. And we always joke that Tennessee is like the best place to blow things up, just because there's still laws and there's still permits. But it's a lot more lax than, say California, for instance.
Yeah. When I was doing the live action shorts, Cardboard Warfare, Killzone, all that stuff, like there's pyrotechnics in a lot of that. And we were blowing up like multi-story level explosions. Yep. And the pyrotechnician was like, there's a Class C license. There's different licenses, and like California is the most strict. I think that's the one where it's like you got to have everything. Yeah. Every other state is like, you still have to pass a buttload of tests and everything to be able to blow stuff up, of course. Yeah, but California is even more strict on top of that. So
it's a lot.
Yeah, we blew some stuff up in Georgia for sure. Yeah, we're right neighbors
nice.
For sure.
Yeah, so a lot of that filming and stuff was in Georgia when you lived there?
All of it, yeah, all of it for sure.
Nice. That's cool. Sweet. So, Clint, go ahead and give us like a little bit of a rundown for your backstory, just really briefly, like the general interest in visual effects. And I know it's kind of evolved over the years, it seems like, from outside of looking in. Mainly, moving towards like the NFT space and Unreal Engine. And we'll kind of talk some more about those things. But yeah, just give us a quick backstory rundown.
Yeah, okay. So when I was in 9th grade, this would be, because I graduated in 2009. So this would be like, if I can do some math, 9, 8, 7, 2000. This is 2006, 2005-ish. A buddy of mine, his name's Bobby, and I was like, hey, Bobby, like, I see you got that video camera over there. How do movies, like, cut from one image to another? I don't understand how that works. How is that even possible? And he's like, oh, dude, let me show you. So, like, he filmed over here, and then he cut, and then he filmed over there, and he cut, and then he played back, and I saw how it transitioned. I was like, what? It blew my mind. I was like, how is this possible? Oh my God. And he's like, yeah, dude, you got Windows Movie Maker on your computer. It like you can edit these things that we just did. Like we can edit. I'm like, dude, are you serious? You're joking right now.
It's already there. It's already installed.
Yeah.
It came with it.
Yeah. I blew my mind. And I was like, okay, well, let's shoot a fight scene right now. And he was like, okay. So then we squared up and I was like, okay, get your shot. All right. I'm gonna go for a low kick, and then you're gonna jump it. I was like, okay, we gotta get the low kick, and we gotta get like him going like, whoop, and then I don't know whatever the next shot was, and we edited it together. I was like, oh my God, amazing. So I mean, that kind of went from there. I was like as a kid, I was into airsoft and martial arts. So of course, like, you know, have a bunch of fake guns laying around, and I'd try and make them look like real guns. And this is in Windows Movie Maker. You couldn't really do any of that stuff, and basically you'd have to just like take a Google image of a muzzle flash and like erase it in it wasn't even Photoshop, it was Macromedia Fireworks or something. At least like get it out and then save out the frame where you were shooting, paste them, import the frame back in, add the sound effect. You're like, oh, it's crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, I just did that a bunch, you know. I just kept doing that, and and at the time I was like a big fan of Freddie Wong when he was doing his thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was kind of doing my stuff on the side too, and I messaged him on YouTube. He responded, and he was a fan of the videos I put out. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a fan of you. You're a fan of me? He's like, yeah, dude, your stuff's great. I'm like, okay. So he's like, come out and visit.
That's awesome.
So I visited him. I was living in Georgia. I went to go visit Freddie and met Sam and Nico and Jimmy and Brandon and like everybody who's living out of that Hunter Street spot, you know?
Yeah.
So we just hung and played games for like a week. And then I flew back and made Cardboard Warfare. My buddy hit me up. He's like, you want to build a tank? And I was like, yeah, of course. So it took us a year.
I'm there.
Yeah, it took us a year. We built
It took a
tank.
year?
Yeah, it took a whole year.
Oh, man.
We built this tank out of cardboard. It was a full-size M1A1 tank. It mounted to a car. We drove it around town. It was amazing. And then Freddie was the one. He was like, dude, you should film a video with that. And I was like, yeah, I should film a video with this. Absolutely. Like, this is ridiculous. Okay, I have to. So then, I cut out all the guns, made Cardboard Warfare, and that popped off. I was like, oh my God, I can do this for real now. Like, I can do this as like a thing because people liked it. So I was like, I want to do another one and do another one, do another one. And I got to the point where, like, of course, I discovered Andrew Kramer, and I discovered him in like 10th grade, I think. I remember the day I discovered that like assisted suicide tutorial. It was like number 7 or 11 or something like that. The one where he like, blows his head off and like chunks go flying everywhere. I was like, this is the most amazing, realistic thing I've ever seen in my life. I got to figure this out. So I would just go through all those tutorials and like just crank on all those tests and like really know the program. I wanted to know the program. And it got to the point though where I was like, you know what, just doing a VFX test for a VFX test is not enough. I need to tell a story. So then that's when I started getting into like really thinking about the story and adding characters and those elements, because people aren't going to stick around for a VFX test movie. They're going to stick around for a story that has VFX in them to make the story better. But eventually, Freddie asked me to move out with him to California, and I was in college at the time. I told my dad, hey, this random dude in California wants me to move in with him.
I met on the internet.
Yeah.
It's like, this is fine, right?
He knew who Freddie was. He thought his videos were cool. And he's like, I'll let you go, but like you got to finish college first. And I was like, oh man, all right. I'm not enjoying college because, to be honest, I just like maxed out all my Video Copilot knowledge, and I was working in C4D and After Effects, and like those are the classes I was taking, but like the beginner versions. I was like, I already know all this stuff, like what am I doing here? And basically, I asked my teacher, Mr. Mason. I was like, hey, Mr. Mason, I have this opportunity to go out. Like, what would you do? He's like, dude, just go. We're all out. We're all like trying to get a degree so we can get the opportunity for the job. And if you have the job already, then go. If you need to come back, then come back and finish it. There's like zero stakes. So I told my dad that, and he was like, all right. And I freaking loaded up my car with all my Cardboard Warfare costumes, my Killzone costumes, like all my airsoft guns. My cat, Noah, was chilling in the front seat with me. And I just drove like, it was 16 hours, two 16-hour stretches. And like the back of my car was like scraping because I had like, it was an old 89 Camry. It's a rust bucket. And made it out to LA and like, just chilled with Freddie. He had me pay really cheap rent and just worked on Cardboard Warfare 2 while I was out there. And I don't know. That was a lot of talking right there.
No, that was great, honestly, like, because it was all stuff that I didn't know.
That's
so I guess kind of moving over into, it sounded like you were working a lot in like After Effects, so it's probably like 2D compositing was kind of the bulk of it.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, I was up into the C4D super early too, release 10,
Yeah.
and was trying to put some 3D planes in my videos, trying to put some 3D
Mm-hmm.
dropships in my videos, and like that was always my thing. My big roadblock was how do I get a realistic 3D looking thing in my 2D footage, and for like
Mm-hmm.
5 years that was always a question mark. And I would get little,
Yep.
I would see Sam and Nico do it, I would see Freddie do it, and I would just not understand. I would be like, I don't, I need to be able to do this easily. And I would like cheat it so hard. I would like not move the camera so I didn't have to track it. I would,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would just have it be 3D so there's no 2D element. And like I remember when I figured that out, it was just like, oh, thank God. Like I've leveled up and it feels great. But yeah, of course,
Yeah.
Freddie and Sam and Nico will help me get
Mm-hmm.
there and figure that stuff out. So it's cool.
That's so cool. Yeah. So with, there's so many like new technologies right now. I know you've been doing some stuff with NFTs, Unreal Engine, and even just like these different mediums, whether that's like 3D scanning objects
Yeah.
to be used for photorealistic, renders or anything like that. With all of the new things that are kind of popping up around, do you have like a system or a process that you recognize what this new technology is, and then you play around with it, and then you start using it for different things? I feel like there would be a lot of like experimentation with those types of tools, but do you have any like systematic approach for how you kind of dig into those things, or is it more,
A little
my
bit.
style is usually more like I'm gonna break something and see what happens,
Oh, interesting. I've never
which isn't great.
I've never came at it from that angle. That's a really interesting one. My process, I'm trying to make movies. Like that's what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So like all the 3D stuff I'm messing with is just to like eventually make a movie and be able to have that tool well refined so that when it,
Yep.
so I can do it and just tell stories that are beyond what a dude and a camera can tell. But those are important skills. Writing is so hard. I'm writing right now and it's just like if I can write a movie, I know I can make one. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
um
Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, so movies in general is your kind of your end goal, if you will, of just like something you're really wanting to do. Is that like direct or
100%. Yeah, 100%. Man.
Yeah. Nice.
I love directing. I love putting together a really cool thing, and like what I love about it is like I get to call upon friends, family, and like professionals. So like you're
Mhm.
getting all those people together to work really, really hard towards something that hopefully everyone believes in. And then once you complete it, you seal in all of that hard work into one like thing, whether that be a short film like Cardboard Warfare or Killzone or whatever,
Mhm.
or a feature film, hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm down for the hour and a half. Like, doesn't need to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. That's a very, very cool thing to do, and like just to make people laugh. I love
Mhm.
action comedy, man. That's where it's at. It's the
Yeah.
best.
Is that what you're writing now, or
It's elements
something
of
else that-
yeah, elements
Yeah.
of it for sure.
Nice?
I don't want to say anything else. I'm not gonna say anything else.
Yeah.
But yes,
You're good. You're good.
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
That's killer. Yeah, there's something about I think it was Jon Favreau was talking about in like behind the scenes. I believe it was on Mandalorian is what he was referring to, but he was talking about how you find comedy in the action, and the comedy itself it's never making fun of the action, in terms of like self-awareness, but it's just finding those moments that play in such a way that you find the comedy in that without mocking or making fun of the story itself. And
Yeah.
that's something that's always stuck out to me, of that's just such a beautiful way of like telling a story, and I'd never heard it put that way, but I thought it made a lot of sense.
I'm trying to think of an example, but there's a movie called Harlem Nights with Eddie Murphy, and I've never seen the movie. I've just seen this one scene,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so funny. But it's like three mobsters have Eddie Murphy pinned down behind like a shop window. He's on the inside of the shop. He like broke through the window and is like taking cover behind this shop window. And you got the three mobsters out in the street, and all three of them, like, it goes down the line. One guy, I think he has a Tommy gun. Two of them have Tommy guns, and they're like just blasting in. He's like, he's taking cover. And the third guy just has this dinky little ratty little pistol, and it's like, and it's just like, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that situation. He's like finding whoever directed that movie found that one little thing and was like, this is gold.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like, the scene's hilarious.
My wife always gives me a hard time because, one, I just have like a lot of dad humor anyway, but with like any movie that I would consider like zany, so like a lot of Steve Martin, even like the Naked Gun
Dude,
series,
those are so good.
Those
are the best.
I cry when I laugh, and it's hilarious.
Dude,
like those are the funniest.
The scene with, you remember OJ in Naked Gun? His name was Nordberg. It was Naked Gun 1 or 2, and it was the one where like he goes to the docks and he sneaks in, and he's like all the bad guys are in there. There's like 10 bad guys in there, and they're like cleaning their guns, whatever. And he sneaks up on them, and he kicks the door down. Boom! And his leg goes through the door. It doesn't kick the door down. He just goes through the door. He gets stuck. And everyone's like, oh, snap. And they start like loading their guns and everything. Like, and by the time he like gets his leg out and opens the door, and he's like, freeze! There's like 13 dudes. And like one dude drops his pistol. And they all look at him like, what are you doing? And then they're like, bad guy comes in, the boss, and he's like, light him up, boys. And like they all blast him.
Yeah.
And he like goes through this Looney Tunes freaking thing where he what does he do? He hits his head on like a pillar. He falls forward face first into a wedding cake. Like, it's all the gags. And then he like stumbles over to a hot iron, like, or no, he hits wet paint. It's like, it says like wet paint, and he like hits that. And he's like, oh no. And then he gets his hands clapped in the window. It falls on his hands, and he's like, ah. He steps in a bear trap. Ka! And then he goes like out the window into the ocean. He's dead. And I was like, dude, that's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, it's just so over the top. Classic though.
Absolutely. Classic. But hey, to get back to your question about the process, and what I look at for the process, because I was still thinking about that. So basically, like, I'm doing all this stuff to tell better stories, bigger stories. Maybe not even that, just to be able to have the ability to do that if need be. That's why I'm focusing on all the VFX. And honestly, they're just fun. I love creating things from scratch. It's a blast. And, people always ask, I use C4D. People always ask, like, why don't I use Blender? And I'm like, well, I think of it as a left hand, right hand thing. Like, I was raised using my right hand. So to go from C4D and like learn Blender to like just learn how to use my left hand, it's like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. Mm-hmm. But like, then there's Unreal Engine. And it's like, okay, this is a whole other like dark zone of like knowledge that needs to be filled. So I just look at the biggest gap of knowledge, and I'm like, okay, let's hit Unreal Engine because it's the future, and also like the stuff I can do in it and the stories I can tell with it. I see such potential in that. So I'm like, okay, I gotta learn Unreal, And like, my style is definitely photorealism. I love creating photorealistic art. So, you see some incredible stuff like Memories of Australia in Unreal Engine is a short film. Absolutely just unbelievable. The quality that guy got out of that. And I forget the artist's name, but I think he worked for he did all the Battlefront games. He did all the the environments for Battlefront games and whatnot. And then of course the Quixel Rebirth trailer, that like full photoreal situation. I'm like, yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I get jazzed on that for sure.
It's so just remarkable, honestly. Like, even I think it was this past week, Epic released like a water simulation,
Really?
demo inside of Unreal 5.
Uh
Um,
oh.
and it it was just beautiful. I need to look back up. I don't know if they were like featuring an artist that had created it or if it was, like self-published, but it was, yeah, just being able to see things like that,
Dang.
it's so cool.
Okay,
So
you got to send that to me for sure.
yeah. I'll shoot you a link, and we'll also include it in the show notes as well.
Perfect.
But do you like, so with Unreal Engine specifically, do you kind of see some of your stories that you're creating as that being like the medium, whether that's like through virtual production or even if it's just, to be like comped in over some of the things that you would actually get out of Unreal?
To be honest, not really. Like I
Mm-hmm.
I want to do live action movies, filmed with a camera.
Yeah.
So that's where my heart is. I'm definitely a believer in like doing things for real when I can do them for real. Granted, you
Mm-hmm.
got a budget, so like I have a big gripe with Marvel movies just because none of it's real, and I never believe that any of whatever is happening in front of me is actually happening. So I'm never in on those movies, and like say what you would about the story, about, I saw the latest Spider-Man. It was good. But
Mm-hmm.
like compared to like Jackie Chan, oh my God, I would watch Jackie Chan movies every day over like a Marvel movie, just because that's actually happening. You're witnessing like this actually go down. And
Mm-hmm.
the movie has so much more weight in that case, So
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what I'm interested in, is doing it for real
Mm-hmm.
where possible, or using VFX, like at least having it look real as the entry point, and then your VFX are sneaky so that you assume it's real,
Yeah.
So that's like where I want to be. Yeah, I got some ideas. I got some short film ideas for Unreal Engine. I love environments and atmosphere. Like there's certainly the action comedy side of me that I'm working on, but then there's also like the like dark, dramatic, moody version of me
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be fulfilled as well, and that's where Unreal comes in for sure. So like I love like desolate landscapes, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love ambient music, dark ambient music, fog, all that kind of stuff. Like that's like where that's the 3D side for me, That's where I can work on that.
Yeah, that's killer. How do you feel about Avatar?
Yeah,
'Cause I feel like that's I mean, for me, because again, it kind of pulls away from, if we're referring to Marvel in that
I'm glad you asked this question.
it wasn't planned, so we're just kind of on the fly here. But for me, I think it was 2010, 2009 for the first one. Either way, it was just it felt very different for me, and it was just clearly a standout in terms of I really did buy it, and I really did believe that I was inside of this other environment. And just the world building, the different creature details, like there was so much in that, and given, Cameron was developing all sorts of new technology, so it was kind of like the first that some of those things have been implemented. But it almost seems like Marvel gets in this like business cycle, and it's what can we crank out when type of thing. And even like their content schedule for 2022 is just it's insane. And I don't know, like I'm just really interested to hear your thoughts on that, especially coming up with, the next 3 Avatar films that are in production right now.
Yeah, for sure. So honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, I need to watch it again. But I think the reason I was like, was because I love James Cameron. I think he's one of the greatest directors of all time. I'd say top 5 for sure. And I just didn't feel that in Avatar, like Titanic,
Mm-hmm.
Terminator 2. Did he do True Lies as well?
But yeah, I mean, Titanic obviously
Yeah.
is a classic.
Yeah,
Terminator, obviously another classic.
they're incredible. Like every time I get together with my buddy Cliff, like 40 minutes into us hanging out, we always have Terminator 2 on, and we're like, we like watch the movie in pieces through scenes on YouTube because we're like, it ends up being that basically because we're like, dude, look at how perfect this is. So yeah, Avatar, I was like, man, it's like a video game version of what he does, and I would rather see the for real version because there's just so much more like weight to that. Yeah. I need to watch it again, but I'm also, I don't know. There's a part of me. Okay, look, this might be spicy.
Hey, it's okay.
But there's a part of me that feels like, man, we're never gonna see a James Cameron movie like we know it ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's okay though.
That's possible. That's okay. Or maybe movies 2 and 3 in the next set totally throw us off the trail, and they're all just on Earth. I don't know.
I mean, maybe that'd be sick. I'd be
just
down.
Just kidding. Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, here's the thing: like,
it's actually in the same world where Titanic happens, but the Na'vi are coming to. That should be our next thing we make.
I think that he can't judge a master for doing like. No, I was just a little bummed, but he's doing his thing. That's his journey right now. That's where he's at. Mm-hmm. So, he's gonna crush it. I know he's gonna do a great job. So, what can I say about that? I'll watch it. I'll be in the theater for sure.
Nice. So, I know you've also had some experience with like game cinematics and directing those with existing IP, like Wolfenstein or Killzone. Do you find it challenging to kind of adapt to, like, in other words, to stay true to that IP when directing and creating, or do you feel like it's a pretty natural, like, segue for you?
Okay. Yeah. So I did a Sleeping Dogs, I guess an official fan film. I don't know. It was paid for by Square Enix. So honestly, that process, man, that was about like the smoothest, most like it all came together so well for that thing. I went down there and played the game. I'm a huge kung fu, like I did kung fu for 10 years. Obviously Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan are like my idols. And I went down to their headquarters and I just played the game because, we're going to do something together. So let's play this game first. I don't know what I'm going to do other than make a fight scene, but let's play the game and see what I can throw in. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, okay, let's make the coolest, like Jackie Chan style fight. And like, obviously the main character will be the main character from your game. And we'll use like just different weapons, all the stuff from the game. And I was like, okay, well, this is perfect. It's just a huge playground of like things we can do. And I'll push it as far as I can go. And I got like the best stunt crew I could have asked for, the EMC Monkeys. Like they know Jackie's style. Some of them have worked with Jackie in the past. And like, we just came together and we did what all of us have been dying to do. And we did it. And like, Square Enix hooked it up with a little budget for us to do it. And
yeah,
I remember driving home the last night of shooting with like my entire front windshield just freaking crunched and blown out because somebody kicked Zin, the main guy, kicked him straight, or no, he kicked someone else into my windshield. And it was planned. We planned it and everything, and it just totally just broke out the whole windshield. I was like, yes. I had to drive home like that.
That's great. Yeah. It's like, don't worry about this, officer. It's fine. Like,
oh, he had to escort me because we had to have a guy there. We had to have a police officer on set because we were shooting in an alley in LA. You have to have an officer there. So he's like, I'll take you home. I got you.
Hey, that's great. Cool. So, what I've noticed you've really also like stepped into the educational space with your YouTube channel. Definitely putting a lot of time and love into that platform. What is kind of your longer term goal for that? Are you wanting to do more like course content? It seems like you have a really natural gift at like teaching and just sharing knowledge.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I enjoy it. I like being inspired and I like inspiring people. I know that I don't have all the answers and I never will. I just like to do what I can. So
yeah.
I mean, dude, I've been recording tutorials for a very long time, since before Cardboard Warfare even. And it's a good way for me to learn as well. So like by taking on a
Hmm.
tutorial, I have to, I have to know everything that I'm saying. So I have to do a lot of
Yep.
research to make sure the tutorial is like spot on. So it helps
Yeah.
with my learning, and as well as it kind of like locks in that thing that I learned by making a tutorial.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like the way I thought about it early on. And just of course to help people who are like, it took me so long to figure this out. Let me just package this up and like, dude, this is gonna sound bad. I'll watch my own tutorials sometimes because I'll forget how I did something. So it's like a
Yeah.
log of like, okay,
Yep.
here's how I did that.
Like documentation of different steps. I don't think that's bad at all because our work as a whole, like just visual effects, is so like dense,
Yeah.
and there's so many different like tiny details that's like, oh yeah, I should have baked this in before I moved it over here.
Yeah.
And it really is just like a lot of info. So I don't think that's bad at all. I Yeah, if I'm in a pinch, I'm always like watching ActionVFX tutorials for like a specific technique, or I know that this one effect that's used is over here, so I can find that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's cool.
But I just like to, I like to see people who were like me in the past when they're just starting out or they're on their journey
Hmm.
at some point and like they're just pulling their hair out, and they're like, this is so annoying. Or the version of me who like for 4 or 5 years was like, how do I get a realistic 3D thing in my 2D footage? How do I do that?
Hmm.
So I did like a how to turn yourself into a robot tutorial last
Yeah.
year or something, and like I don't know, I think it's good. I think it's good to definitely help out,
Hmm.
and then I do enjoy it. I really do enjoy like getting people amped and like, yeah, let's all do a thing together. So that's been cool, and like we have the Discord server. We just hit 40K people on the Discord server, and like
Nice.
we have a bunch of cool plans to like keep the like 3D as fun as possible. So like
Hmm.
what I love doing is challenging myself. I love it so much. I'll challenge myself every year, end of January. I'm like, okay, what are my challenges for this year? What am I going to overcome this year?
Yep.
What did I not overcome last year? What needs to be worked on, et cetera, et cetera. And
Hmm.
I want to kind of take that. Well, we are doing that now on the Discord server, and we have weekly challenges where, every week there's a new prompt, just like Inktober. It's like
Hmm.
that, but for 3D, and like, I'll shout out the 5 winners and stuff, top five, and
Yeah.
but now we're gonna try and start to implement different things. Like we're talking about a yearly challenge, like a big community
Hmm.
yearly challenge. We're also talking about different like achievements and stuff for like doing so many of something like to
Yeah.
like that's what I love about video games where like
Hmm.
you can hit pause and you can go to stats and you can see like so sad the number of people killed is the first thing that I thought of. The number of people you've
It
murdered.
depends what game you're
Yeah.
playing. Kirby.
But like times you've jumped or like distance you've traveled or like
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I wish I had that in real life. Dude, if I could
Hmm.
like have like your Apple Watch or something and you could like have all your stats. I obviously don't have one, so maybe they do that, but like
I don't know either.
having that for 3D, that's what we're working on right now. Yeah, to keep
Yep.
people amped.
That's so cool. Yeah, there's. I remember when I first was getting into After Effects more seriously for like product editing.
Totally.
Just really like processing things. And the very first thing that I was like researching was like, I know I'm just gonna have like atrocious amounts of hours in here, but I want stats, I want data, I want to know how many hours a week I'm
Yeah.
inside of this, just because that's the weird kind of human being that I am. But I think that understanding what like gets me the most excited is understanding human behavior so that I can build things in a way that helps people achieve their goals
Oh
better.
wow.
So like specifically, like the products we create help people create visual effects faster with the goal is enhanced realism because our stuff
Mhm.
is real. So they're not having to revert to simulations or anything of that nature. But even outside of that, it's like internally we have, a marketing team, product creation team, web developers, and some of like my most fulfillment comes at seeing pain
Uh-huh.
points of things that people are doing or how people are operating. a lot of it comes to like, hey, this is how a process has always been done. So that
Are you saying at the company or the user?
both.
Okay.
So like internally with the company, are there any internal tools we can build that are like custom After Effects plugins that can help us review assets faster, or just like enhance our workflows? But at the same time, it has this cool like multifaceted thing, because it's like, if we're building something for us, maybe other people also need that.
Absolutely.
And then like making steps to where we're going to be able to like develop bigger things and give more things away and have bigger just value adds for the community of like visual effects artists as a whole. So that's kind of the stuff that gets me excited too.
That's awesome. I'm writing that down right now. Like, figure out what the pain points are, and like, because I love efficiency and like being organized, and that's really fun to me.
Yeah.
To like set up a structure and like a means of being as efficient as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that like there are probably like different times where like, hey, lay off the structure for a little bit, go out and like go for a hike or something.
Yeah.
But I would rather have some structure than none.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have a lot of structure than none.
Yeah.
I think that's probably my thing.
Yeah. And if you're able to have it built, then like that has to be another conscientious thing. That's, I can walk away from this, and my schedule, my structure isn't what dictates me. I think that's a good mindset shift, but it is there, and we have built it to help us and to, support us in our work. And yeah, I mean, the beginning of every day, I already know what the most important things are for me to work on that day.
Nice.
And same goes for like the week, the month. And that way it's just it's a lot less stressful, because anything else, like if I get anything in addition to those things done, it's just bonus. So
absolutely,
that's just hey, it's all good, because I know I'm able to get these things done and not have to worry. So
do you use a thing for that, or do you just like write it with a pen and paper and like, this is what I
use a lot of things.
What's the thing you use to like top 3 week, top 3 month, and top 3 day? Like what do you use for that?
Yeah, so most of my stuff is built inside of Asana. So it's just like a project management software similar to like Monday or Trello.
I use Trello. Did they switch to Asana or something? They added it to that or something like that?
They have a couple different integrations.
Okay.
But that's one thing that like even company wide, I'm really, really huge on automation.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, if someone has to do something twice, it should be automated. Or, it's like, how can the time from that be reduced? So yeah, we can definitely nerd out on that for quite a while.
Yeah, that could be a whole podcast.
That's really what we've, yeah. And we should do a separate one on even just like efficiency, artist efficiency, and just the importance of staying organized, because I think that is its own thing in and of itself.
Oh man,
yeah.
100%. You totally just like unlocked something deep in my mind. Way back. Like this is, I'll stop talking because it's irrelevant. But like, yeah, we could talk about this for a very long time.
So we'll definitely circle back on that and pick up on something with that, because that'll be very important. But for the time being, to kind of put a bow on this podcast, Clint, where can people find you? Obviously, we'll include some different notes or links inside of the show notes, rather. But where can people find you, and what's like the next project you're working on?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me on youtube.com/Ponisher. And that is where I am currently hosting the next 3D community challenge. We're into like week number 2 or 3 right now, or week 2. We're on week 2 of this month-long community challenge. Challenging every 3D artist who wants to join. You don't like you like, if you just started 3D, great, come on down. But I give you basically a template that is like a travel montage, and you add your character, add your vehicle, add your background, travel montage, boom. So I'll be live streaming every single weekend, Saturday, 10:45 a.m. PST on the YouTube, and working on my submission, showing off cool submissions from the community. Gonna live judge it first week of March, and then we got some cool montages coming up. So definitely check that out.
Sweet.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those. It's been really awesome to even just follow along more recently with all the new things you've been doing with, and we've already mentioned like NFTs, but I'm really excited to see the next content that you're gonna come out with. Like,
sweet, dude.
You're very much one of those creators in the space that like are very artist centric, and I think your content shows that. And even just like, yeah, you're always wanting to give your best and like present as good of work as you can, and I think that's something that there are artists that do that, but I think it is something special, and you can see that extra like hit of passion when that kind of overlaps into what you're making, because you obviously find fulfillment and enjoyment in it, and it really is just a pleasure to be able to watch that firsthand and kind of see you find enjoyment in that.
That's great, man. Yeah, I think like, we do it because we love it, so keep going and keep the fire burning. So like, if these challenges, I get amped from challenges, right? So whatever you got to do to like fire yourself up, to keep your fire not just going, but like raging inferno of like
growing.
Let's do it. Yeah, then like let's go.
Yeah, so that's great. I'm definitely also one of those people that if I wake up in the morning and there's not some crazy goal that scares me, then I'm not even gonna want to play.
Oh wow.
Right? Like I want to do something that has impact, has meaning, has purpose, and yeah, it's like it just so happens that visual effects is that medium right now, and technology and how it overlaps with that. So it's really cool and exciting, and again, as I said, I'm looking forward to seeing the next videos that you make, the next master classes, whatever you end up cranking out. I'll be here and anxiously awaiting.
That's amazing. Luke, thank you so much, man. Let's do this again. I'm down.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to. Thank you for joining us, Clint. I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Clinton Jones.
Peace.